It feels like if you want to win a Republican primary, one of the prerequisites is that you do a campaign ad where you point a gun at someone. You just have to do it. You have to fire some sort of military-grade hardware at something, usually legislation or a copy of the Constitution. I don't know what they're doing, but they fire a lot of guns. Now, we have Brian Kemp. He wants to be Georgia's next governor. He's the current Secretary of State, by the way. Keep that in mind as you watch this ad. He takes it in an even weirder turn than the normal Republican.
I'm Brian Kemp. This is Jake, young man interested in one of my daughters.
Yes, sir.
Jake asked why I was running for governor. I said 1.
Cap government spending.
2.
Take a chainsaw to regulations.
3.
Make Georgia #1 for small business.
And 2 things if you're gonna date one of my daughters.
Respect.
And?
A healthy appreciation for the Second Amendment, sir.
We're gonna get along just fine.
Brian Kemp for governor.
I could not hate that ad more than I do. Feel free to tell me how I'm wrong.
It plays like a sketch, doesn't it? I mean, it's like half a click off of being an SNL
It could have been Will
sketch.
Ferrell. Could have been like.
Well, if at the end, those framed images, like one of them gets shot off of the desk, then it would be then it's a sketch.
Blood splatters across the pictures.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he have gotten more votes if Jake was black or Latino and you point the gun? Like, why not go all the way and just point a gun at a minority while you're sitting there?
Oh, wow.
No, I'm sorry. The white voter would say, why are you even having a conversation with letting a minority date your daughter?
No, that's why you brought the gun, because but again, like you said, this works. And earlier when we were talking about the primary, remember that keyword, a viable candidate? See, this is what's like, this is a viable candidate in Georgia. This is once you leave Atlanta, this is a viable candidate. A guy who's sitting there with a gun, yeah, you're right. It would be a great sketch if Will Ferrell did it, but this is real. And this is why Will Ferrell's job is so hard, because they're like, okay, Will, go be funnier than that. And Will's like, what
are you supposed to do?
How do I top this one? You can no longer top our reality with comedy.
Yeah, look, we argued about this ad in our production meeting more than almost anything else in the world. Me and Brett Ehrlich argued about this. And I get that, like, that's a very savvy ad for a Republican. Like, I bet every Republican voter loves that ad because they think it's funny, and also they totally agree with every moral and social thing that makes that funny to you. Like, everything about Republican and conservative traditions, about female ownership and all that is totally like necessary to like that, and they do. I do have some problems with it though. I mean, first of all, there's school shootings like every 2 weeks, and you're one state over from Florida and you're pointing a gun at a kid and saying you're gonna shoot him for sleeping with your daughter or whatever. I think that's a little bit odd. Also, if you have so much respect for the Second Amendment, that's great. It's a right that you have. It doesn't let you murder people for dating your daughter. That seems like a misunderstanding. He said you have to have a healthy understanding of the Second Amendment. You don't seem to, Brian Kemp, which seems odd.
Well, there are NRA people who protested the ad because there is a big thing in guns. You don't point a gun at somebody unless you intend to use it. And you don't, we've had plenty of accidents with people like that playing with a gun. I didn't know it was loaded, but this kind of thing, it does work for them. It does work, and you, again, how do you fight that when that works? There's no counter ad that's going to get that.
Yeah.
It's a shorthand, and as Alonzo says, there's a sense of this guy's got the same values that I do, and that's all built into that imagery. Personally, of course, all those guns stacked up next to him. He's got a gun in his hand. He's pointing it at the kid. It's all about guns. It's disgusting. It gives me the creeps. I hate it, but I'm not the voter they're going for.
That's true. And look, I don't think you're ever going to convince Brian Kemp that he's wrong. I'm hoping to convince that young actor or whatever, at least some people
Jake
around
looks
his age.
Scared. Look at Jake's face.
He acted his ass off.
Jake looks a little nervous.
But if Kemp was an actor, you would go, dude, take it down a little bit. That's a little much.
I think they should have had just a little streak of urine going down the kid's khakis. I think that would have really sold it. And look, we don't have a lot of time. I can't go through the whole thing, but I just have to say, and I understand that this is an area where apparently I'm out of step. I would say I'm a step ahead, but that whole thing, it is, to me, it reeks of pathetic. It is so cowardly and scared to live your life like that. I know it's a joke, but I'm saying the serious version of that's meant to appeal to. There are people in that region and in other parts of the world who think they need 20 guns to be safe. And here's the thing, they're wrong. And so if you think you need all this to be safe and you don't, that's not brave, that's not manly, that's pathetic, okay? Use your fists if you think you need to discipline this kid. I wouldn't even do that. Let alone the whole thing about the fact, the implicit assumption that female sexuality is this thing that needs to be guarded and the worth of your daughter will be lessened in some way. Like, would they do that if it was a girl coming in to date his son? Of course they wouldn't. And I know you're just supposed to allow it, it's their culture, whatever, but it just is so pathetic to me, and I think we need to move past it.
Don't buy the safety thing. There's machismo wrapped up in this. It's really all those guns, it's almost a sexualized thing. All of that power, all of that weaponry. It's not about safety anymore. That gun culture is awash in guns because it's a certain machismo associated with it. And I know women have guns too, but they've been sucked into that same culture. Go ahead with your hate on YouTube and all the rest, but that's just the fact of it.
By the way, I don't even hate guns. I think that there should be far more regulations than there are, but my family has owned guns. I've shot guns many times. I'm not against guns, but I am against the fetishizing of guns.
Well,
That's
it's also what you said is true. I mean, the cowardice involved, the I need all these guns to protect myself, but they only hang out in safe places. You know what I mean? Like the Pence thing, right? Where he's going to the NRA convention and they're like, oh, you can't bring guns in where he's going to be. Well, shouldn't they all have guns? Like, isn't it all
there
good
should be
guys?
twice the number of guns.
So much safer.
There are 80,000 good guys with guns in Dallas. He should be the safest person in the world. And when they do these commercials, I said this in a joke a long time ago. You know when they show them carrying their guns in like the grocery store or so, like they never take their guns to the hood. You know what I mean? Like you know, yeah. Let's just why don't you open carry down on MLK? Just open carry. You know, never. No, they do it in the safe. They're all cowards. They're all cowards. The few people who are badasses, and I've done these military gigs, and I've met these people that you would never know it. The guys who are really and women or whatever, the ones trained who are truly badass who could kill you in a moment, never brag about it. They don't need to. They don't need to. You know, I have a friend and he was like ex-special forces. And when his daughter was 16, he said his line was simple. He said, listen, you're going out with my daughter. Anything you do to her, I'm going to do to you. That's all he had to say. Didn't need a gun, didn't need anything. You just kind of like, okay, sir, I understand what you're saying. And
but you can't get a campaign ad out of that.
No.
This is comical to us. And it's sad on some level, but you know what? It works. It speaks to his base.
Yeah,
right. It's messaging.
I love the acknachment that man. I mean, you can see it behind us.
But Jake is scared. I just like the look on Jake's face.
Jake should be scared. He's sitting across from a psycho. But I love the acknowledgement from Brian Kemp. I would not be able to intimidate this teenager if I didn't have guns.
Yeah.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.